What's up, good people? This is Stone Stanza coming at you on this beautiful Sunday. And just got a little conversation with a couple other people. And I'm going to build it in not just because it's Sunday, because you have to feed, just as you feed your physical body and your mental, you have a spiritual, your cerebellum, all that. You have to feed three to stay balanced. It's important. And you have to know how to do this. But the conversation was, who do people perceive Christo, Jesus Christo, or the Messiah, or Lise Ibn, or Ise Ibn, or Yeshua, whatever name fits in the tongue. And I seen a comic book where they had a guy pissing on a picture of Christ. So I was like, so when you look at it, in my perspective, if a person doesn't believe that he wasn't never a person, which they have the right to from studies or some of the things that have been hidden. Some people just go by straight history. Some people go a little bit more. That's why you need a little bit balance so you can have the open eyes. But basically, I see it. And I'm not going to say how I see it, how it's shown. Even if you don't want to look at if the person is real, none of the Bible characters are real, look at the characteristics. When you build a certain characteristics or become that characteristic, you have created in the form of creation. So a person with the characteristics that came to build, that came to not only a lost trial for the world, because the world was gone at one point. The world they only probably had physical and mental. They didn't have that spiritual balance. So it threw everything off as the times were before. It was peace in the land of different things. So here is a man that's good. And he's good, full of the spirit. And he's good. He represents good. He doesn't even tell you that he's Abba. He tells you that him and Abba's spirit is equal. But since he came in the flesh, he took a form of a servant. So the characteristics are good. High frequencies, you do have healing. You do have certain things that can happen. Just like the Hebrew boys, that they'll teach you that when they were in a fire, they'll teach you that it was a being in there and this was God and he saved the, yes, that's true. But there's a parable to that also. These guys had to use the Abba in them for Abba to be present. So therefore, these guys were smart. If you look at it, they were smart. They were skilled. So basically, they made a fireproof clothing. And in that fireproof clothing, because they skilled and believe in God, Abba was there. So it's like the characteristics of Christ. He came not to judge you, but he came to bring judgment. There's two types of judge. You can't judge somebody, but you could judge their walk like, damn, should I go with that person or not? Or should I, but the characteristics of this person is the highest form of characteristics to walk on earth, to show you how to walk on earth. A lot of people couldn't understand it because they couldn't understand his characteristics because they didn't have a true balance. So therefore, in your speech, there is healing. There is power. You can open up somebody's eyes. You can do these things mentally, physically, and spiritually. But this is what Christo was brought to show forth. He come to show you, wake up. There's something inside of you. And with this spiritualism, if you recognize it, comes the law, the universal laws, and exempts you from the laws of the land until you start indulging in your sin. Instead of using the evil for good, then you're underneath the laws of man, which that's never going to go away until everybody comes on one accordance. You see what I'm saying? But He's not fake. Even if the person wasn't never real. It's the characteristics of spiritualism, because before you were nothing, meaning you were spirit form, and you were, some people in these parables, they use the parables wrong. When he says, blood and spirit, basically, or water. So basically it's your blood comes from water. Before you were, and you were dust particles, there was a spirit. So therefore, if you look at the characteristics and you build you up to a higher frequency, you can see through things that the average person can't see. And that's power. And that's power inside of you, and it's authorized by higher power. So basically, if you want to look at it as fake, you're not seeing the real. It's not fake. And if people don't believe in these stories, look at the characteristics. Same thing as King David, King Dawud. If you don't want to believe they were true or something, but he defeated the giant. He defeated the obstacles. See, that's what Israel was all about. Defeating the struggles in your life. Everybody's Israel because everybody's scattered. Every nationality is scattered. So people have to look at things right. Living stone. You have to be a stone gathering yourselves. You see what I'm saying? A tree planted by the water. Same thing, your roots. You have to be rooted in truth and Abba and the spirit, not these bull stuff that these so-called, that's another topic. But basically this topic was, who do you see Christo? And basically Christo is the characteristics, the precepts of Abba, goodness, peaceful, healing. He came for the people, didn't come to judge. He came to show you there's something higher than man's law. And if you can walk this way, you can walk in peace. And he took the 10 laws, well, it was 7 to 10, back down to 2. And that was just to love Abba with all your heart and to love your neighbor as yourself. You'll be able to walk in peace and humbleness. That's not even hard. If you truly understand yourself, you'll love your neighbor. Everybody don't get along, but you can come back to get along. You see, but it's the characteristics, the highest form. So basically, if you want to look at the way you want to look at it, you can look at it the way, but it's real. And it's the characteristics of the highest form representing that we are to have. And we can have a higher form because Abba's unlimited. Abba's the one who shown Christ this. And he tells you all that in the book of John. I ain't coming to preach. I ain't coming to such and such. But if you take these characteristics, into our lives, not to try to be like Jesus or Chuck because he was him. But if we take these characteristics in our life, we can grow. We can growth. You can have heaven on earth and heaven spiritually. Meaning knowledge, wisdom, understanding, full of joy, full of strength. Not your power, full of Abba's power. It's more beautiful than gold. But then you can have your riches on heaven, which is supposed to reflect that. So therefore, yes, Abba's real. Look at the characteristics. Stone stands are coming at you. Peace.